Football, Ronaldo leaves the team, I become Real Madrid's top card. Chapter 1, Madrid. Inside the Real Mara Fabrica Academy. In the warm weather, the academy players are playing inter-team matches. At this time, Lin Chen, who was sitting on the bench resting, was trying to digest all this at the moment. Alas! Look at what a national football team. This time it was directly crossed by sudden death. In the previous life, Lin Chen died of joy when he saw the national football team lose 1-3 to the Vietnamese team. At present, Lin Chen is a youth player in the Real Madrid Youth Academy, with a height of 194 and playing in the center position. According to the memory of the original body, he has been very talented in football since he was a child, and with his excellent physical fitness, he can be said to be an invincible player in primary school. The original parents were also very supportive, and when Lin Chen was 15 years old, he spent a lot of money to send Lin Chen to La Fabrica. At this time, the head coach of the academy, Daniel Poyatos, was concentrating on the game on the field. It's March 18 and La Liga is coming to an end. Santiago, assistant coach of the second team, told Daniel yesterday that he would be in the final youth selection of the season and that he would not be transferring personnel unless there was an injury. Real Madrid's second team, that is, the famous Castilla, has countless top players who have come out of here. Unlike the youth academy, as long as it enters the second team, it means more opportunities for official competition, and even the possibility of being directly promoted to the first team, which is not a big temptation for the youth academy players. When the players of the youth academy learned the news, they immediately rubbed their fists. So this game is not just a training match, everyone wants to play well and is recommended by Daniel to play in the second team. Lin Chen, on the other hand, just sighed helplessly, and didn't have any idea about the last game. Although Lin Chen loved football in his previous life, his actual level was at most to go to the amateur team to see the water dispenser. And the current Refabrica can be described as a collection of geniuses. In terms of the center position alone, there are Andre Guajanson, Pablo Ramon and other goblins. And because of Lin Chenhua's identity, he was excluded from the team and came to La Fabrica for 2.5 years, and he was stunned that he had not officially played several games. If you play now, you may drown in the coach's saliva. But now Lin Chen is 18 years old, if he can't be selected this time, his youth training contract will expire in half a year. Do you want to return to China? As soon as Lin Chen came up with this idea, he immediately denied it. The football environment of the previous life was really difficult to see, all kinds of shady scenes, dark box operations, and the level of the entire league was also very low. Lin Chen really couldn't accept it, but if he didn't go back, now this level can't get a foothold in La Fabrica. Just when Lin Chen fell into distress, a voice sounded in his mind. God-level football system activated. Open the properties panel. Physical, 70. Stamina, 75. Breakout, 50. Dribbling, 50. Shot, 70. Speed, 60. Defense, 30. Notes, 100 out of 100. 40 amateur teams, 60 pros, 85 major leagues. Goldfinger? Lin Chen suddenly came to the spirit. Then Lin Chen began to carefully study the properties panel. It seems that I am right about myself. Lin Chen shook his head after reading the data. From the panel data, as a professional player, Lin Chen's body and shooting and physical strength are barely qualified, and when Lin Chen saw that he only had 50 dribbles and breakthroughs, his forehead suddenly had a black line. This statistic is not very good even in the amateur team, let alone in the Real Madrid Academy. The starter pack has been distributed, is it on? At this time, another prompt came from the system. Turn on. Lin Chen hurriedly checked the newbie package. Get buff, shooter instinct, 60% chance of scoring in large boxes, 100% in small boxes. After reading the buff introduction, Lin Chen was delighted. With this shooter instinctive buff, it means that as long as Lin Chen enters the small penalty area, the shot must enter. There is a 60 probability goal in the big penalty area. Lin Chen then continued to study the system function. Attribute point source, goal, as long as you score a goal, you will get 1 attribute point. Task panel, once done, get attribute points and various buffs. Current task, to enter the Real Madrid second team. Just scoring a goal can increase attribute points? Get a buff by completing a mission? Lin Chen's heart rippled after reading it. Just a shooter instinct is already so strong. Lin Chen can't imagine what kind of buff reward he will give for completing the task later. With this system, are you still worried that you can't get along in the academy? Looking at the ongoing inter-team game on the field, Lin Chen rekindled his fighting spirit. The little Refabrica is just a hill on his football road, and there are more achievements waiting for Lin Chen to take off. This game, I have to play. and also to enter the second team. Chapter 2. On the court, the competition is in full swing. The first half was not over, but Team B was already 3 goals behind. On the sidelines, Daniel and assistant coach Alvaro Benito discussed the situation on the pitch. It's a bit too difficult for Team B, and the strength of the two sides is too different. Alvaro watched Team B being beaten powerlessly, and also had some sympathy. In this confrontation, the youth academy is divided into 2 teams, A-B. Team A is basically composed of the main players, Team B is some substitutes, and Lin Chen is a member of the substitutes of Team B. We want to select players, not a close fight. Daniel naturally knew that this game was unfair, but his task was to select players, and naturally he had to focus on whether these main players were worth recommending. It was the 40th minute and the first half was over. The B team players returned to the sidelines a little disappointed, while Daniel took advantage of the intermission to give a team players some technical guidance. Then Daniel replaced several substitutes, but Lin Chen still did not hear the head coach call his name. Lin Chen even had some doubts about whether the head coach had forgotten himself. However, Lin Chen still comforted himself that he was not in a hurry. After all, so many players, it is impossible to be rotated. 20 minutes later, the score was still 0-3. Although it did not continue to concede the ball, the situation on the field of Team B is not optimistic, and it can be said that it is in a state of being beaten. Daniel may feel that this does not detect the strength of the A team players, and turns his attention to the B team bench. You need to give some intensity to Team A, so you can't test the strength of the defender. Daniel's more dissatisfaction came from Team B's inability to deliver the ball to the front court, resulting in the game almost becoming a performance by Team A's front court players. That's right, Team B now needs a front court anchor, and Ramon can't hold the ball in front right now. Alvaro naturally also saw the dilemma of Team B. The thin Ramon looked particularly panicked when facing the pressing of the A team defender, either being broken or kicking the ball away. The midfielders of the angry B team did not want to pass the ball to Ramon, but chose to break through on their own. This, in turn, caused Team B's formation to look extremely chaotic. Maybe it wouldn't be better to have Ramon a stake center. Daniel's gaze kept wandering on the bench of the B team, and when he saw Lin Chen's outstanding height, he suddenly had an idea in his heart. How about replacing him? Lin Chen? That Chinese man, he may not be able to adapt to the rhythm of the game. Alvaro was a little surprised, and did not understand why Daniel chose this Chinese boy. In fact, Alvaro is more inclined to let Diego Hernandez play, and as for Lin Chen, Alvaro has little impression of him. I just remember that Lin Chen is quite diligent, relatively punctual, and almost never late for every training, and is a player with a relatively professional attitude. As for strength, in addition to the height of 194, Alvaro really couldn't think of anything too bright about Lin Chen. Try it, maybe it will work wonders. Daniel then waved his hand to signal Lin Chen to step forward. Go warm up first, wait until you get ready to play. Lin Chen immediately got up when he heard this. Soon. Daniel replaced the field with Lin Chen's poor performance Gomez, who was a little unhappy when he came off the field and directly chose to ignore Lin Chen and return to the bench. Lin Chen smiled a little helplessly, but did not take this matter to heart. The moment he stepped onto the court, Lin Chen felt a little stunned in his heart. Real Madrid's youth academy, this is a place that I didn't dare to think about in my previous life. Now here, Lin Chen is about to usher in his first game. After coming on the field, Lin Chen constantly crossed positions with Ramon in the front court. Ramon naturally understood the coach's intention to replace Lin Chen, giving up the restricted area to Lin Chen, and he was walking behind Lin Chen waiting for an opportunity. In the 25th minute of the second half, the B team goalkeeper confiscated the ball again, and then threw the ball with a hand to accurately find midfielder Franchu. Lin Chen soon found that there was a gap between the two central defenders of Team B, and then extended his hand to Franchu. When Franchu saw it, he sent the ball directly into the box with a long pass. Lin Chen saw the timing and controlled the ball at his feet before intercepting it from behind the central defender. But the defenders of Team A are not vegetarians, and after seeing Lin Chen take the ball, he directly pressed Lin Chen with his body, so that he could not complete the turn and shoot. Lin Chen glanced at the position of his teammates. Ramon was still in the defender's pocket at this time, and he couldn't pass the ball at all. Then Lin Chen suddenly had an idea in his heart, and took the ball a few steps forward along the line of the small penalty area. Maybe knocking the ball back is a better option. Alvaro saw that Lin Chen was about to bring the ball into a dead end, and shook his head a little helplessly. Just when Alvaro thought that this attack was going to end hastily again, Lin Chen finally stepped on the line of the small forbidden area, and then his heart sank, and he directly got up and hit the door. Since there was also a team defender behind him, Lin Chen almost completely turned his body around before he barely completed the shot. But that didn't affect the quality of the ball, which quickly skimmed past the defender and headed straight to the top right corner of the goal. The goalkeeper obviously did not expect Lin Chen to suddenly get up and shoot, and he didn't have time to react for a while, and directly watched the ball fall into the net. This is the goal? Alvaro was a little incredulous, and Daniel was equally surprised. Unexpectedly, Lin Chen rewrote the score like this, and at the same time, a question rose in Daniel's heart. Why didn't this kind of player start in a confrontation? Chapter 3. Not only Alvaro, but Daniel was also very surprised. Daniel could see clearly from the sidelines, and the shot was of extremely high quality. Then Daniel took out the player information panel and checked Lin Chen's information. When he saw that the comprehensive assessment above showed that it was poor, Daniel shook his head regretfully. Maybe it's just luck. At this time, on the field, the A-team players were inexplicably scored by Lin Chen, and they were also a little stunned. Goalkeeper Adrian was even more distressed, defending the goal for more than 60 minutes, and was easily scored by a newly replaced Huagua boy. However, Team A quickly adjusted its mentality, and Captain Antonio signaled the players to strengthen their defense against Lin Chen. The game continues. Perhaps it was the reason for Lin Chen's goal, and the B team swept away the original slump and played more methodically. Lin Chen and Ramon are also like spirits, and they have been constantly swimming in the air defense block behind Team A. The ball was constantly converted, and Team B once again brought the ball to the touchline, facing the up-to-head A-team player, and the fullback kicked the ball directly into the box. Lin Chen immediately started running towards the small restricted area. With the height of 194 and his physical fitness, Lin Chen pressed two central defenders in the small penalty area to jump high and smashed the ball into the goal. Although goalkeeper Adrian, although he had spread his posture with all his strength, he still did not touch the ball. With the referee's whistle. Just 2 minutes later, the score was rewritten again. 2-3. Everyone on the pitch was a little incredulous. Scoring one goal may be luck, but what about two? Team A didn't understand that in just a few minutes, its own goal could be scored twice by Lin Chen. Cheer up. Antonio threw his fists and was very dissatisfied with the team's current performance. After seeing Lin Chen score again, Team B cheered to celebrate Lin Chen. Ramon picked up the ball from the net, came directly to Lin Chen, and patted Lin Chen's shoulder fiercely. Well done. I'll give you cover next. Give them some color. Lin Chen was also a little stunned when he heard Ramon's words, but then smiled. Don't worry, I can't lose with me. Court sidelines. Daniel opened the player information again, turned to Lin Chen's page, and then said to Alvaro. Is there a mistake in this assessment? Alvaro heard Daniel's question and didn't know how to answer for a while. It seems that we need to reevaluate Lin Chen. The game starts again. When he saw that Lin Chen scored 2 goals in a row, Team B was like a doping and pressed Team A crazy. As long as the steal is over, the B team players will send the ball to where Lin Chen is. Team A also put away the original contempt for Lin Chen. As long as Lin Chen took the ball, 2 team members would defend him. Franchu saw that it was difficult to advance in the middle, so he turned to dispatch the ball to the wing. With Lin Chen, a high school forward, it is completely possible to bomb the goal of the high-altitude Team A team from the wing. The development after the game also completely confirmed Franchu's ideas. As Team B once again lifted the ball into the penalty area on the wing. Team A actually had 3 players Lin Chen to defend. Even so, goalkeeper Adrian, who was scored twice by Lin Chen, was like a big enemy and tensed his spirit. Ramon saw that Lin Chen was struggling, and ran directly forward to help Lin Chen attract the attention of the defenders. There was so much chaos in the box that no one could earn a header and the ball fell into the box. Lin Chen struggled to get rid of the defender's bag and wanted to poke the ball in with his foot. When the defenders saw that Lin Chen was about to touch the ball, they didn't care about it, and directly grabbed the corner of Lin Chen's clothes. The sudden force behind him also made Lin Chen's movements instantly deform, and his body was about to be pulled down. However, just when Lin Chen was about to fall, he finally touched the ball before the goalkeeper confiscated it. Then with a sharp poke with his toe, the ball bounced high, and the ball was so fast that even Adrian did not react. Beep. The referee's whistle sounded again. The score was equalized. 3-3. All the members of Team A seemed to have lost their souls, while Adrian still maintained the kneeling position just now. looking at the ball still rolling in the net. On the other hand, Team B seemed to have one, and Chi rushed to Lin Chen's side, pressing Lin Chen directly under him. Beautiful. Hat trick. Daniel glanced at Alvaro on the sidelines, and then Daniel said in a slightly exaggerated tone. Do you know how long Lin Chen has been on the field? 5 minutes. It's only 5 minutes. Just equalize the game. Alvaro is also a little unbelievable. A player who usually can't play can complete a hat trick in just 5 minutes. Team A is a little too underestimated. Alvaro said to head coach Daniel after a slight silence. Underestimating the enemy? No, Lin Chen completely crushed the A team, but it was a bit like a first-team player coming to play a training match with them. Daniel smiled and shook his head, obviously very satisfied with Lin Chen's performance. Chapter 4. 3 goals in 5 minutes. Everyone was amazed by Lin Chen's performance. The players on the bench of Team B were even more excited, waving towels, and even Gomez, who was originally replaced by Lin Chen, stood up to applaud Lin Chen. Maybe Lin Chen needs to be evaluated again. Alvaro's eyes were full of brilliance, as if he had unearthed some treasure. Assessment? The level of the academy is no longer suitable for him. Daniel shook his head. So what do you mean? This is a striker killer, take it directly to the second team, where is his place? As for the assessment, leave it to Mr. Gonzalez. Daniel looked at Lin Chen, who was running wantonly on the field to celebrate, and the corners of his mouth rose slightly. Striker killer. Hearing Daniel speak so highly of Lin Chen, Alvaro was a little surprised. You must know that Daniel started as a coach in the Real Madrid academy in 2013, and few players have been praised by Daniel from the heart. Alvaro vaguely remembers the last player who was so praised by Daniel, Achraf Hakimi, who is now racing in the Champions League. On the field. The game is not over yet. Before kicking off again, Antonio, the captain of Team A, once again signaled the players to strengthen their defense of Lin Chen. Lin Chen seemed to have angered the players of Team A, and Team A completely shifted the focus of defense to Lin Chen. No matter where Lin Chen received the ball, there were always 2 defenders who defended Lin Chen closely, and there were players around him who were ready to intercept the passing route at any time. After several fights, Lin Chen was stunned that he did not take advantage of a little. You must know that Lin Chen's physical attributes have a full 70 ability value, and in the face of the stranglehold of the A-team midfielder, Lin Chen seems to be in a quagmire. It seems that the next step is to improve his physical attributes. Lin Chen understands that the best way to face young players is to crush the opposite side with his body. But now that he had only accumulated 3 attribute values, and there was very little help he could provide, Lin Chen decided not to apply the attribute point bonus for the time being. Time passed and the game came to the 78th minute. There are 2 minutes left before the end of the match. Both teams A and B began to attack fiercely, wanting to win this game. Just when Team A's tactical center shifted to the attack, Team B also caught Team A's defensive gap, and Franchu sent the ball into the box with an over-the-top ball. Perhaps Lin Chen's previous performance was too amazing. Goalkeeper Adrian saw Lin Chen, who was rushing into the penalty area, and his heart was a little stunned. Lin Chen entered the penalty area and once again put the ball on the head towards the goal with his height advantage before the ball landed. The ball plummeted, hit the ground and bounced into the goal again. Oh. Bounce the ball. Adrian was really unlucky today. Alvaro sighed slightly. Luck is also part of strength. If Lin Chen hadn't grabbed a header, he wouldn't have had this chance. Daniel praised Lin Chen very much, and in less than half of the game, Lin Chen completely conquered Daniel. Hello, senior. Ramon saw the ball bounce into the net, and excitedly ran over to pick Lin Chen up. Lin Chen. You're done with your senior year. That's great. Although it was just an ordinary confrontation match, it was also a celebration to complete the senior year in less than 30 minutes. Jeopardy! We won! Although there was still a minute left in the game, the players of the B team poured into the stadium to celebrate. Seeing this, the referee also directly stopped the game. Daniel did not object. In his opinion, this game completely lost its meaning from the moment Lin Chen equalized the score, and it completely became Lin Chen's personal performance. Gomez looked at Lin Chen, who was held high by his teammates, and couldn't help but feel a little envious. No one would have thought before the game started that Team B would win the final victory. Moreover, Lin Chen, who was replaced in the second half, almost single-handedly completely changed the outcome of the game, leading Team B, which was far inferior to Team A, to win the game. Maybe it won't be long before you see Lin Chen in the first division. Daniel looked at the celebrating lads on the pitch and said happily to Alvaro. What about the results of this selection? Alvaro asked. Lin Chen directly sent it to the second team. As for the others, let's investigate again. Daniel left the stadium directly after speaking, and if nothing else, he should have shown off with Mr. Raul Gonzalez that he had found a good seedling. Alvaro watched Daniel leave, and then gathered the crowd. It's just a confrontation game, there is no need to be so decadent. Alvaro was a little dissatisfied when he saw the listless look of the A-team players. I can't accept this loss, and how to face setbacks in my career path in the future. Having said that, the A-team players still couldn't accept losing the game to one person. Yes, alone. This was the idea of almost all the A-team members, and Lin Chen completely dominated the game. Alvaro then stopped speaking and announced that the team was training freely. Lin Chen, you stay, I have something to talk to you about. When the rest of the players heard Alvaro's words, they couldn't help but look at Lin Chen with a little envy. Lin Chen's originally nervous mind also relaxed instantly. Castilla. I'm coming. Chapter 5. After the game, Lin Chen returned to the dormitory and couldn't wait to open the system. Current assignment, entry to Real Madrid 2, completed. Mission reward, full-level attribute card. The moment Lin Chen saw the introduction of the attribute card, he couldn't believe his eyes. Full-level attribute card. This means that Lin Chen can directly add an attribute to the full score. Lin Chen used the attribute card to improve his physical attributes. Physical fitness is too important for a player, such as Lewandowski, who plays in the same center position as Lin Chen. The reason why he can be invincible on the court is that his physical fitness and excellent confrontation ability cannot be described as uncritical. As soon as the attribute card took effect, Lin Chen felt a warm current flow into his body. Lin Chen immediately tried to move his body and found that his body was full of power, as if it was an active volcano that could erupt at any time. The huge improvement in attributes also made Lin Chen can't help but look forward to his schedule for tomorrow. As the second team of the Galaxy giant Real Madrid, Castilla is more than just an echelon. Castilla has also achieved great results in the history of Spanish football, and even won the runner-up of the Spanish Copa del Rey in the 80s. But this season, Castilla has struggled in the second division and even won 6 rounds. So the newly appointed head coach Raul Gonzalez started the idea of selecting players from the youth academy in order to get rid of the team's predicament. Early the next morning, Lin Chen followed the assistant coach of the youth academy, Alvard, to the Castilla base. Seeing the famous Castilla right under his eyes, Lin Chen also had some emotion. Then, 2 coaches walked out of the training base, the first one with short flowing brown hair. Raul Gonzalez. For Raul, Lin Chen is all too familiar, and he has always regarded him as his idol in his previous life. As early as 1994, Raul played for Real Madrid's first team. During his 16 years at Real Madrid, Raul helped the team win 6 La Liga titles, 3 UEFA Champions League titles and 2 Toyota Cups. This kind of achievement is also very few people can match in today's football world. Lin Chen looked at the amiable Raul in front of him and was also a little excited. Hello. Coach Gonzalez, Lin Chen? I know your name, and Daniel kept talking to me about you yesterday, and Raul saw Lin Chen and the two also smiled and said hello. In fact, Raul listened to Daniel and himself yesterday and found another talented player. The player who made Daniel praise so much, Raul was curious and personally came to greet him. After a brief pleasantries, Raul took Lin Chen into the training base. Castilla's players held a brief welcome ceremony under Captain Jamie Sioni. For Lin Chen's arrival, Castilla's players did not pay much attention to it. Huagua boy. Can he play? This is most people's first opinion of Lin Chen, and Sioni has some impressions of Chinese people. Previously, a Chinese surnamed Lin also came to Castilla, but it didn't take long to get loaned. Subsequently, assistant coach Santiago arranged for Lin Chen to train with the team and make some evaluations of Lin Chen. Not often. Assistant teacher Santiago took Lin Chen's evaluation materials to find Raul. Oh my god. This kid is like a cow. Seeing this, Raul couldn't help but ask curiously. What's wrong? Just now, I asked Sioni to cooperate with Lin Chen to do weight training, and this kid directly pulled Sioni to run. And during defensive training, several defensive players couldn't hit Lin Chen. I doubt if this kid has practiced weightlifting before. Santiago was still in a state of shock by Lin Chen. Weightlifting? Raul laughed. Lin Chen's height of 194 may be a little contrary to common sense if he has also practiced weightlifting. Immediately, Raul took Lin Chen's assessment information and looked at it carefully. Technical, middle and lower, tactical, average. Field of view, average, body, top. The first three items are nothing. It can only be said that they barely reached the lowest level of Castilla, and when he saw the column of his body, Raul couldn't help but widen his eyes. Top? Are you sure you wrote it right? I wouldn't be surprised if Ramos' name was written in the data booklet, but Lin Chen is just a young player. Santiago nodded irrefutably. Then Raul looked at Lin Chen, who was doing training on the training ground, and muttered to himself. What kind of monster did Daniel send? And Lin Chen on the field was not surprised by his test results. Inside the Castilla training ground, Raul beckoned the players to finish training and prepare to announce the next La BB match against Atletico Madrid B. Castilla had won only 2 of 10 games before and had a very poor record, so Raul was determined to change it. So when Raul read out the last squad player, everyone was stunned. Lin Chen. Lin Chen? Newcomers who have just joined the team. Many players could not understand Raul's approach, but in the face of the majesty of the head coach, they did not dare to raise it, so they could only turn to look at Lin Chen with an inspecting gaze. Santiago also came to Raul to voice his concerns. Isn't it a bit hasty to let a newcomer who hasn't participated in the ensemble training into the squad? Raul just waved his hand and teased slightly. Maybe the team needs some fresh blood now, and don't you want to see what it would be like to have a bulldozer on the field? Bulldozer? When San Diego heard Raul say this, he thought of Lin Chen's strong body and nodded with a smile. Chapter 6, Castilla against Atletico Madrid B. Although it is only a game of La BB, thanks to the fact that the first team of these two teams is a La Liga super team, and because it is a sworn rival derby, this game has also ushered in a lot of media attention. The media was not optimistic about Castilla before the game, and Castilla has struggled to be on the brink of relegation for the past 2 seasons, and has suffered 6 consecutive defeats this season. Atletico Madrid's B team, which is promoted horses, continues the strength of last season. In the last 10 matches, Atletico Madrid B has a record of 6 wins, 3 losses and 1 draw, and is currently in the upper reaches of the second division. So the media is not optimistic about the situation in Castilla's game. For example, the League Alert release, expect Atletico Madrid B to win streak. 90 Minutes directly wrote that Castilla may suffer a crushing defeat at the Pino Nou Cero Stadium. As for the local media in Madrid, although they are objective and fair, they are still optimistic that Atletico Madrid B team will win the game. The day before the match, the two sides announced the big squad. The moment everyone saw the squad, it was discovered that Castilla had a massive rotation, and 3 of the previous main players were not among them. And as Castilla's top attacker, Saul Garcia was also not in the squad because of injury. Now the media is even less optimistic about Castilla. On social media, even Real Madrid's fanbase felt a hint of pessimism. Although Lin Chen was also in the list, he did not attract much attention. After all, as the second team of Real Madrid, the mobility of players is very large, and some youth academy players often appear to train in the second team. But at this time, in the Far East, a blogger called Overseas Player Report suddenly posted a news. Second Division B Round 28, Castilla Player Squad. The picture below is the big squad of Castilla for this match, which is specifically marked 68 Lin Chen. As a senior football blogger in China, Overseas Player Report focuses on reporting the overseas consultation of Chinese players. Since most of the Chinese players are mostly mixed in the lower leagues and the youth teams of the team, fans also jokingly call the blogger a second-team handling expert. Writiness is ridicule, but this blogger still has some authority in the Chinese football media. So although it was late at night in China at this time, this news still attracted the attention of many fans as soon as it was sent. Chinese? When you see the yellow font on the squad, this is the first thought of most fans. Perhaps this blogger was not sure of Lin Chen's nationality, and just moved the large list without accompanying explanatory information. But at this time, quite a few fans have commented below. Castilla has Chinese players again? Lin Chen? Which youth academy in China was before? Who is this person? I've never heard of it before. Just a big list, don't explain it, the identification is fake. But the blogger didn't seem to see the heated discussion among the fans and didn't post another dynamic response. In order to seek the truth, some fans specially found Real Madrid's official website to check player information. But it may be that Lin Chen has just joined Castilla, and the player list does not show the number 68 player at all. So after checking the information, the fan directly reported the fanbase in the blogger's overseas players, asking the blogger not to spread false information. Attached below is a breakdown of all the players in Castilla that have just been consulted. I said, how can there be Chinese people playing at Real Madrid, even the second team? The blogger must be mistaken. I really haven't heard any news of Chinese players signing for Real Madrid recently. Yes, even the second team, with the temperament of the Chinese media, has long been written about it, and there is no news now. The discussion in the group was so hot that the blogger had to answer the questions himself. The list is indeed true. I have not found detailed information on the specific nationality, but it is likely to be Chinese from the name. Wait for tomorrow's game. If you can play, there should be more detailed coverage. After the blogger posted these two sentences, no matter how the group discussed it, he no longer responded. On match day. In the morning, it began to rain drizzly in Madrid. Perhaps because it had not completely warmed up, the weather was a little cool, and Lin Chen nestled on the bed in the dormitory to check the latest system tasks. System mission: get your first win in a professional match. First win in the league? Are new tasks updated so quickly? I just don't know what reward will be given this time. The full level attribute card last time was a big enough surprise for Lin Chen. So when Raul put himself in the squad for the next game yesterday, Lin Chen was only slightly surprised, and did not feel too surprised. After all, his physical attributes with full scores, on the court, if you only talk about confrontation ability, basically no one can compare with yourself. When Lin Chen thought of this, he couldn't help but look forward to today's match against Atletico Madrid B team. Chapter 7, March 18th. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. West BB round 28. Atletico Madrid B sits at home against Real Madrid second side Castilla. At this time, the more than 3,000 seats at the Espino Cero Stadium were already full. After all, it is the home stadium of Atletico Madrid B team, so the audience is mostly dressed in red and white shirts, while Real Madrid fans gather in the north stand. For local Madrid, although it is only a match between Real Madrid 2 and Atletico Madrid, it has not affected the enthusiasm of fans in the slightest. Moreover, Atletico Madrid's youth training has always been among the top youth training in Spain, producing countless excellent players. Perhaps surprisingly, Raúl González, the legendary Real Madrid star, now the manager of Castilla, actually started his career at Atletico. Atletico closed their youth academy in 1992, and Raúl was one of those runaways, before Real Madrid accepted the young goalscorer and began his legendary career at Real Madrid. Thanks to the excellent level of youth training, Atletico fans also enjoy watching the second team play, and maybe among them are future superstars. Lin Chen sat on the bench and felt the shouts coming from the stands, and his heart was also a little excited. Who would have thought that this was just a game in the second division, and in terms of attendance alone, I am afraid that only the Chinese Super League can compare. Lin Chen sighed a little about the foreign football atmosphere, which cannot be compared with China, so he didn't want to return to China to play football before, and he also considered this aspect. As the music played, the players from both teams walked out of the tunnel one after another. The fans also gave their warmest applause. Carmelo. Before the match had even begun, Atletico fans shouted a player's name in unison, who also smiled and waved, prompting a round of cheers from the audience. Looking at the figure on the field, Lin Chen was no stranger to him. The future striker who will shine in the grid farewell game is still honing in the B team at this time. And being so fond of a young player shows how much Atletico attach importance to youth training. With the referee's whistle, the game officially began. Atletico put up a 3,421 formation and started with a frantic attack on Castilla. Castilla's players were clearly not prepared for the charge of Atletico B. Captain Sioni was even more surrounded by Atletico, and even holding the ball became extremely difficult. Under the fierce attack of Atletico B's team, the score was changed in the 5th minute. Atletico B midfielder Ruiz easily tore through Castilla's defense with a straight kick. Camelo, who received the ball, did not live up to his teammates' expectations, strode into the box with the ball, and then easily tricked the goalkeeper with a pick-and-shoot to score the ball. Carmelo. Atletico fans shouted frantically the name of the goalscorer, while the Real Madrid fan area fell silent. Raúl on the sidelines also did not expect the ball to come so quickly. Cheer up. Can you win a game by playing like this? Raúl frowned and shouted to the players. Central defender Danny stood in the center circle with some helplessness and looked at the celebratory Atletico B players. At this point, goalkeeper Moja Ramos picked up the ball and walked to Danny to comfort him. It's just a goal, you can catch it back. The game starts again. Castilla's players seem to have had enough of being passive and are starting to constantly attack Atletico's defense. However, Atletico B's team also inherited the defensive level of the first team, and Castilla could not find obvious defensive flaws for a while. The two sides went back and forth, and the game came to the 45th minute. Just as the Castilla players were about to breathe a sigh of relief, Carmelo snatched the ball at Danny's feet in a wimney. Then he shot straight from a long distance, and the ball drew a beautiful arc in the air, hanging straight in the upper right corner of the goal. Although goalkeeper Moha had spread his posture with all his strength, he still did not touch the ball. Boom. Score. Carmelo. Atletico fans celebrated the goal. Having conceded 2 goals in less than halftime, Real Madrid fans couldn't stand it anymore. It's a terrible defense. Danny doesn't seem to be focused on the pitch at all. A Real Madrid player was a little angry, and this remark also attracted the approval of many Real Madrid fans. Without waiting for another kickoff, the referee directly stopped the first half. Castilla's players returned to the dressing room in a dejected mood. Just when Lin Chen also wanted to go back with the team, Raul stopped him at this time. Lin Chen, you don't need to go back to the dressing room. Don't need to go back to the dressing room? Lin Chen was a little surprised to hear the head coach's words. He didn't do anything wrong, why didn't he let him go back to the dressing room? Just as Lin Chen wanted to open his mouth to argue with Raul, another sentence came. Go for warm-up training first. Lin Chen was stunned for a moment, and then reacted immediately. Yes. Coach. Chapter 8. 15 minutes later, the second half started on time. As soon as Raul started, he sent Lin Chen, who had just finished warm-up training, to the field. Remember, your mission is to get the ball up front and support your team. Before going on the field, Raul assigned a task to Lin Chen. Front court support? I want more than that. Although Lin Chen said yes, he did have another idea in his heart. A buff with a shooter's instinct, just being a stick on the field, is too big and overkill. The big screen on the field showed Castilla's substitution information, and the players of Atletico B were a little surprised when they saw Lin Chen. Who is this, Fuso or South Korean? At this time, the first thought of many Atletico B team players. After all, Asian faces are rarely seen on the Spanish football field. Real Madrid fans are also a little puzzled, they have never seen Lin Chen before. Lin Chen, new academy graduates? Real Madrid fans have also speculated that although Castilla is only the second team, as Real Madrid's youth team, fans still have some understanding of it. So seeing Lin Chen's unfamiliar face, the fans immediately thought of whether it would be a player from the youth academy. How can Raul replace Pedro? Real Madrid fans were a little confused by Raul's substitution decision. After Lin Chen came on the field, Captain Thioni came over and clashed fists with Lin Chen. The manager just said, let's fully cooperate with you. For Lin Chen's play, Thioni is still relatively happy. As a participant in Lin Chen's assessment, Thioni knew very well what kind of energy was contained in Lin Chen's body. Okay captain, I'll do my best. Lin Chen also gave his own answer. After the start of the game, Castilla's players also fully confirmed what Thioni said. As long as the ball that can be given to Lin Chen in the front court, all of it will be handled by Lin Chen. Atletico B may also see that Lin Chen is now the tactical core of Castilla. Perhaps in order to give Lin Chen some dismounts, Atletico B directly sent 3 players to defend Lin Chen. As Thioni passed the ball to Lin Chen again, the defenders of Atletico B directly surrounded him, and 1 player made a direct tackle on the ball. Lin Chen faced the bag clip of the 3 players, directly clamped the ball with both feet, jumped up on the spot, and successfully picked the ball out. Then a long diagonal pass found fullback Fran Garcia, who was plugging in. Oh dash. Seeing this scene, the stands were also a little surprised, but they didn't expect that Lin Chen would use this method to get rid of the defense. Since the back line of the Atletico B team was attracted by Lin Chen, there was a large open area in front of Forlan. After receiving the ball, Fran directly sprinted at full speed, and Lin Chen also rushed to the penalty area. The defenders of Atletico B can only turn around and chase Lin Chen at this time. But Lin Chen didn't give them more time to react, and with Fran's high ball cross, Lin Chen, who had just stepped on the line of the big penalty area, jumped directly forward, as if throwing his body into the box. Fish leap to the top. Real Madrid fans stood up when they saw this scene, and Atletico fans also opened their eyes. No one would have thought that this kind of scoring would be seen in the West B field. Boom! A voice came from the goal, and I saw Lin Chen directly push the ball into the goal. Alex, the goalkeeper of Atletico B who was attacking, obviously did not and expected Lin Chen to shoot in such a way, directly watching the ball fall into the net. Beautiful. Real Madrid fans could no longer bear it at this time, venting their pent-up emotions for a long time. What's his name? Real Madrid fans shouted halfway through to find that they didn't even know the name of the goalkeeper, and they were suddenly a little embarrassed. Lin Chen, just now I saw that this is the display on the big screen. After getting the answer, the fans began to show their world-class cheering level. Lin Chen. The voices of the fans came wave after wave, and Lin Chen raised his right hand to signal to the fans. When Raul saw Lin Chen choose to jump to the top and break the door, he was slightly stunned. What a magical boy. Raul said to assistant coach Santiago. It's unbelievable to have such a performance as soon as you get on the field. Santiago was also shocked by Lin Chen's goal-scoring method. As the two were talking, the stands erupted in cheers again. I saw the Castilla players on the court running madly to Lin Chen, who was standing in the penalty area, and crushed him to the ground. Scoring again? Raul couldn't believe his eyes when he saw the players celebrating wildly on the field. But the shouting Real Madrid fans in the stands will not deceive themselves. Go back a minute. Lin Chen received a pass from his teammate on the outside of the penalty area, and turned around to move inward. However, Andrea, the defender of Atletico B team, chose a close defense against Lin Chen and directly put it on Lin Chen's back. At this time, Lin Chen did not choose to pass the ball directly to Daniel Gomez at the far end, but tried to directly push the defender with brute force. But Andrea did not give up this defense and continued to fight Lin Chen, vainly trying to squeeze Lin Chen away with his body. After Lin Chen sensed the intention of the defender, he was a little excited. Do you want to compare yourself to me? At this time, Lin Chen no longer chose to get rid of the defense, completely let go of his hands and feet, and directly stepped into the small penalty area against Andrea. If you look at it from a distance, it is more like Lin Chen carrying Andrea. Andrea was obviously unable to resist Lin Chen's power and retreated in the penalty area. When Lin Chen stepped on the line of the small penalty area, he directly raised his foot and shot angrily. Goalkeeper Alex reached out to block it, only to find a huge force coming from his hand. Then the ball directly hit Alex's hands. Rush into the goal. The score was equalized. 2-2. Lin Chen is like a violent goal machine. Face the defense of Atletico B team, directly choose brute force cracking. At this time, in the stands, a middle-aged man in casual sportswear kept writing something in the notebook in his hand after seeing Lin Chen score a goal. Chapter 9. Just 15 minutes into the second half, Castilla equalized the scoreline. And all this came from Lin Chen, who had just played. Raul now covered his head and watched with wide eyes as he replayed the goal on the big screen. Carrying people to score? What the hell is this monster? If Lin Chen was like a cow as Santiago said during the assessment, then now it confirms Raul's original ridicule. Stadium bulldozer. On the field, the players of Atletico Madrid B could not return to their senses for a long time. Andrea even sat in the restricted area, staring blankly into the distance. Oh my god. Andrea may have a problem. Atletico B coach Valla felt bad when he saw Andrea's condition, but he also understood Andrea's mood now. A defender who was carried by a striker to score the ball is indeed a bit too bad for self-esteem. If counseling is not provided, it may directly affect Andrea's future career development. Valla sighed, then beckoned to the bench, ready to replace Andrea directly. But a question also arose in Valla's mind. Where did Castilla dig up this monster player, who had such a bad record before, and didn't choose to let him play? On the field, the players of Castilla were full of excitement and celebrated with Lin Chen. Score. Lin Chen, you are the most fierce striker I have ever seen. Sione seemed a little too excited and blurted out directly. Lin Chen, I must touch your muscles at night to see if there is a motor installed in it. Lin Chen's smile suddenly froze when he heard this. Captain, in fact, you can also see it during the day, and you can see it more clearly. As soon as these words came out, all the Castilla players immediately laughed. Sione also realized that he had said the wrong thing, and his face turned red in an instant. The game starts again. Castilla, who scored 2 goals in just 15 minutes, was particularly excited at this time, perhaps due to the current joyous atmosphere of the team, and the players played very freely. Raul couldn't help but admire this scene when he saw this. This is the impact of a top player. Lin Chen gives the team the confidence to win. Atletico B, on the other hand, is a bit decadent, and although Camelo constantly cheers up his teammates, the players still struggle to cheer up. Although it is also a goal, there is also a gap. But Castilla will not leave room for the rivals Atletico B team, and Raul directly chose to change the 3,421 team. Ask the whole team to continue to feed Lin Chen with all their strength, if it is according to Raul's original words. Press and hit. Give me a hard beating. Lin Chen did not live up to Raul's trust after that. The 65th minute of the game. Lin Chen once again jumped high in the small penalty area and smashed the ball towards the goal. Atletico B's newly replaced centre-back only felt a huge shadow pass over his head, and then the cheers of the Castilla players came out in his ears. At this point, he finally understood why the manager had replaced Andrea. Hat-trick! The Real Madrid fans, who only occupied a small part of the stands, once again burst into a passionate shout, and the Atletico fans seemed to be completely subdued by Lin Chen's 3 goals, and the entire red and white fan area was silent. See? My Real Madrid Youth Academy is no worse than your Atletico Madrid. More Real Madrid fans directly mocked. Valla was also a little anxious looking at the situation on the field, and he was even more helpless in the face of Lin Chen. Then Valla waved his hand and changed the team to 541, leaving Camelo alone to fight back in front, and the rest of the players were all in full defense. After Valla changed formations, it did bring some troubles to Lin Chen. Every time they attacked, the Atletico B penalty area was full of players, like a moving wall blocking Lin Chen's shooting route. Then Sioni passed the ball to Lin Chen again, and Lin Chen did not choose to continue to insert directly into the box, but dribbled along the sideline. Want an inverted triangle? Raul said after seeing Lin Chen's dribbling route. Against Atletico B's tight defensive defense, it might be a good try, but what Lin Chen thinks is different from what the coaching staff thinks. I saw that Lin Chen and his teammates successfully brought the ball to the small penalty area line after a 2-over-1 cooperation. The Atletico B team only left a defensive player Team Lin Chen to press, and more to block Lin Chen's inverted triangle pass. Seeing this, the corners of Lin Chen's mouth rose slightly. At the moment of stepping on the line of the small penalty area, Lin Chen directly chose to raise his foot to shoot. I saw the ball flying high, drawing a strange arc in the air, and then rushing directly into the upper left corner of the goal. Shoot at 0 angle. Alex, the goalkeeper who was still in front of the point, hurriedly retreated, and even if he fell backwards to the ground, he could not touch the ball. The ball falls behind the goal. The stadium fell into a deathly silence, followed by a deafening cheer. Even Atletico fans applauded, congratulating Lin Chen on this amazing goal. After Lin Chen scored the goal, Sioni rushed directly and punched Lin Chen in the chest. You brat. It's a natural goal machine. In the stands, the middle-aged man in casual sportswear directly tore off the full page of player analysis after seeing Lin Chen's ball. 2 words were written directly on a blank piece of paper. Shunfeng. Chapter 10. After Lin Chen staged his senior year, Atletico B team was defeated, completely lost the idea of resistance, and only wanted not to let Lin Chen score again to extend the score. The 2 sides come and go, and as the game comes to the 85th minute, Raul saw that the defenders of Atletico B were moving more and more towards Lin Chen, so he simply chose to replace Lin Chen, who was on the field, again. Lin Chen walked slowly off the pitch, and everyone in the stands applauded the guy who led Castilla to a miracle. After the game, Raul told Lin Chen directly in the locker room. Next game against Celta B, you're the team's starting center forward. At this time, on the other side of the mainland, it was late at night in China. As the website with the most fans of Chinese football, Chicho.com suddenly exposed a news. Huagua Jr. Lin Chen staged the Big Four joy in the half. Lead Castilla to a desperate turnaround. At this time, there were still many fans in Huagua who did not sleep, and they were stunned when they saw this news, and then clicked in to view this article. I saw that the writer's name is Real Madrid number 7 Jesse Lingard. The article wrote that Chinese youngster Lin Chen came off the bench at the beginning of the second half, leading the trailing Castilla to score 2 goals in a row to equalize the score, and then scored 2 more goals to complete the Big Four. Below is a gif and commentary of Lin Chen's 4 goals. And the Chinese playing at Real Madrid? One fan may have just glanced at the headline, did not read the article carefully, and commented directly. But soon someone else replied to the fan below. Trouble the landlord to pay attention to the key points, happy senior. And you see every goal is 2NB, don't get excited upstairs, don't you think it's a little suspicious that such a wonderful goal is all from a Chinese player? The same doubts are not only this fan, although the article directly states that Lin Chen is a Chinese player, but there are still many fans who question the authenticity of this article. Is there such a player in Huagua? I think it's unlikely, yes. Don't look at him with an East Asian face and say that he is Chinese, in case it is a player from a neighboring country, it will be a joke. I looked closely at a few goals and I could see that this player was very physical, almost pressing the Atletico B players with his body. And don't you think that goals such as fish jumping to the top and 0-angle shot can be made by Chinese players? As soon as this remark came out, it immediately aroused the recognition of many fans. Can Chinese people play this kind of ball? I'm afraid it's not only seen in sci-fi movies, not to mention this kind of ornamental goal. If the Chinese player can pick up a goal in Castilla, I will be satisfied. If Chinese players have this kind of skill, I can wake up laughing in my dreams. On the other hand, the administrator of the Overseas Player Report fan group, Bald Kicking Football, also discovered the article and hurriedly moved it to the group. Foggy grass. The big list posted by the blogger yesterday turned out to be true. Huagua Jr. came off the bench to score 4 goals in a row and play the big for joy. A moment later, many night owls suddenly appeared in the group. True or false? Didn't someone go to the official website of Castilla yesterday to see it, and there was no player number 68 Lin Chen at all? How did you score without this player? Could it be that the official website did not update the list of players yesterday? After all, Castilla will have a lot of youth academy players coming up, and it is normal not to update the information in time. A group of friends named Prince Bernabeu apparently knew Castilla well and expressed his opinion. As soon as these words came out, the administrator Bald Man immediately opened Castilla's official website. When I saw that the big picture on the homepage was a Chinese face, I was shocked. After clicking on the big picture, Bald found that it was actually a war report. The content was basically the same as the post on the internet of Qiqiao, and finally it was a detailed introduction to the best player of the game. Number 68, Lin Chen, age 18, position, center, nationality, Huagua. When the bald man saw that the nationality column showed the country of China, his heart couldn't stop getting excited. Then hurriedly posted the screenshot of the webpage to the group. What a Chinese player. I just went to take another look and already has information. The link is below. If you don't believe it, you can check it out now. After that, the bald man edited the screenshot and the web link and sent it to the comment area on the internet. For a moment, all the fans who learned the news were blinded. What a Chinese player. There is hope for Chinese football. It's still a Real Madrid Youth Academy player. Of course, the happiest of them is naturally the Real Madrid fans, and it is natural to be happy to see that there is a Chinese young player born in their own youth training. Subsequently, many fans said that they were die-hard fans of Castilla for 20 years, and began to ask bloggers in the comment area where to watch Castilla's matches. And Lin Chen, who is far away in Spain, does not know that domestic fans have begun to celebrate the new year because of his game. At this time, Lin Chen was lying in the base dormitory checking the system rewards. System mission, first league win, completed. System reward, 10 attribute points. 10 attribute points? Lin Chen was slightly surprised to see that the system did not reward the skill again. Lin Chen then began to calculate, plus the previous goal reward, now Lin Chen has accumulated 18 attribute points. But at present, with his full score of physical attributes in the West B League is completely enough, Lin Chen did not think about where to add attribute points, so he simply did not use attribute points for the time being.